Hello, everyone. Welcome to MindBody TV. I'm Dr. Kim Duramo. I'm glad to have you here for everyone who's joining live, and hello to everyone who is listening to the recording or the podcast. Today, I am going to share something really powerful, really potent, and something that many people are really ready to step into, and that is quantum healing. So what is quantum healing is really allowing a quantum shift, allowing a shift at the deepest levels of our being, physically, mentally, and emotionally, which can happen all at once. And sometimes we'll have that quantum shift sort of on one level, like consciously, mentally, emotionally, and then it can be a little bit of a lag period for that to then translate to the physical. It doesn't matter, because actually the space of being, the frequency we're in consciously, is always determining the state we are in physically. So whether you are looking for shifts in your health, energy, healing from a disease, being pain-free, whatever it may be, having a physical illness or a tumor, in allowing a quantum shift physically, a shift in that physical condition, or you're looking for a shift in your relationships, your money, your work, anything outside in your outer world, it's the same thing. It's the same principle. And so that's what we are going to be going into today and activating. So welcome. I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from. I'm so glad to be back. Back in my hometown. We were away for the summer with family and friends, and it was absolutely awesome. And I'm really glad to be back home. So hello over here, everyone in our Instagram community. And I'm going to be over here in our the MindBody community in Facebook and in YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and hit the like in YouTube so that other people who are looking for this content can find it. And so that you'll be notified when we post more information. So we've got, hello, Kathy from Slovenia, Barbara from Las Vegas, someone from Arizona. Here we go. Barbara, Tessa, Reselling. Okay, I don't know what the names are, but Joan, I can't turn off the fire alarm in my nervous system. Yes. Sleep MRI says I have cysts on my sacrum. Yeah, there's so many things that can manifest in the body physically, and we're going to get to the energy that's underneath all of that. Hello from France, Esther. Sierra Nevadas, Bonnie from Virginia. I had a dream about you this morning. Oh, that's lovely. I'd love to hear about it. Holly, hello from Nevada. Samantha, awesome. Missouri, Terry, hello. Ned Louise from Denmark. All right. Serbia, Ashley, welcome. Janelle from Oklahoma City. Hello, everybody here in Instagram. All right. For those of you who don't know me, I am a physician. I was previously working in the emergency room. I was trained in trauma and critical care, but I have been working over the last however many decades, really, in mind-body medicine. Let me just grab this pen because I think I'm going to want to share a diagram today. To share about how the body heals itself. I've been studying this since I was very young. And since the last at least decade, I've dedicated my career solely to sharing mind-body medicine. I have seen quantum healing. I have seen powerful quantum shifts, including tumors shrinking or disappearing. Like here they are in the MRI. Oh, we can't seem to find those tumors. Maybe we made a mistake, right? But we know that it's not a random outside the realm of science, let's just ignore this kind of occurrence. It's actually something that we can reliably create. But how do we do that, right? What are the laws that govern quantum healing? What are the laws that govern, which is metaphysics, the laws that govern physics? So if we go to the meta level of physics, what is in charge of how the physics, the physical, gets created? What is in charge of how the physical shows up? What is in charge of whether the physical is, strong and healthy or diseased and sick? what is in charge of that? What governs that? And that is what is the science of the metaphysical, meaning what governs the physical. And that's really where my greatest interests lie as a physician, because there's way more, exponentially more power when we work with and tweak the energies that govern the physical than just messing around trying to tweak out the physical, which so many are seeing. And pretty much 100% of the people who come to my work are seeing that just isn't enough. It's just not working. I'm still sick, or I'm getting worse, or no one even understands what the heck is going on with me. So if you are in that realm, you are in good company. Welcome. I'm glad to have you here. All right. So the first thing I wanted to share about quantum healing is that it doesn't matter if we believe that my body is already whole, that my body is already healed. You might have heard when you've studied metaphysics or manifestation, like, I already am whole. And then what we see and what we experience is the opposite of that. It's like, no. I'm clearly not. There's no money in my account, or I don't have the life I want, or there's disease in my body, right? So our focus ends up going there. And then we're trying to like prove ourselves right, but change it at the same time. And that simply can't be done. You can't continue to put energy into creating something and resolve it at the same time. But the interesting thing is that what we focus on expands. We are at our base of existence, pure energy. Now, if you don't understand what that means, or that sounds like too intangible, you can watch pretty much any of my videos that I've done in the past to get a better sense of like, what does that mean? I'm energy. What we've seen scientifically is that when we look at physical material, whether it's like this pen or my hand or my liver, it seems to be solid. But when we look closer and closer and closer, and then finally under like the electron microscope and the tools we have to look at matter in the smallest way, everything is made up of really, really small particles that are in fact pure energy. They are not solid at all. So this kind of throws you for a loop when you think, hey, the world is as it is, this desk is solid and I'm just going to stay there. That's fine. But in order to make changes in that matter, you've got to loosen up on that perspective just a bit. Meaning, okay, feels like my body's very solid, but maybe there's more to it than what I see or think right now. Maybe there's more to it than what I've been trained to believe. And so in that way, we don't have to actually believe or understand how it works, which is really cool because, I've studied it since I was like 16 years old because I was really fascinated by this after having a really powerful awakening experience. But most people haven't, and you don't need to. So how do we access the power, this innate power that we have to allow a quantum shift, to allow a shift at the deepest levels? And it is a shift that governs everything in our physical reality. The first thing we've got to realize is we don't need to believe it to see it. Most people are trained to be the like, well, I'll see it when I believe it, right? I believe what I see. If it looks like this, then that must be the real thing. And then that must be true. But it's really funny because what I've seen, as far as like when we look at perception, and there's so many studies on this, our perception creates our reality, but our perception is not actually the quote real thing. It's not the absolute truth. There's a book called Clockwise, or it's called Counterclockwise. A really, really great book. Let me just make sure I am quoting this correctly. Because it was actually, there were tons of studies that they did. Ellen Langer, thank you. Okay. So Ellen Langer wrote this amazing book many years back, and they looked at things like, so how our perception creates our reality. So they had like chambermaids who were cleaning, all day long. And they asked them, how often do you exercise? And they said, oh boy, I never exercise because I'm working all the time. I hardly exercise at all. And then they educated them. So they took one group aside to show them, like, making the bed is exercising, walking up the stairs to go to the next, room is exercising, taking out the trash, like all the daily tasks they were doing. This is exercising. You're actually getting 8 hours a day of exercise. And they found for those women who believed or had the new perception of, oh, I'm doing exercise, they burned more calories. They used up more glucose. They used up more energy. Their body got fitter and got healthier than the people who were doing essentially the same activities, but did not believe they were getting any exercise. So the perception allowed the physiology to respond more fully and potently to what they were already doing. They also had people go in a study, and this, she shares it in this book, where they were like old people having all kinds of ailments and problems and diseases and things. And, oh, I'm so tired. So they did a before and an after, and they assessed their level of, like, how much energy do you have? How much pain do you have? So subjective things. Then they also assess things like range of motion in certain joints, strength, endurance capacity. So more objective markers of health. And then they had them go into this experience for however many days where they went back in time to when they were 18 years old. So these were like elderly men, and they went into this camp where they were immersed in the experience as if I'm 18 again. The music, the posters, the things playing on the news, or they would have probably had a radio that they were listening to. Everything was around that culture they'd been in when I'm 18 years old. And they found, without any other intention, increased energy, increased endurance, and other markers like their range of motion improved. So like arthritic symptoms decreased, pain decreased dramatically, strength increased. So all these markers, subjective and objective, of health and youth improved just because they changed the person's perception. Some of the other fascinating things they did with this were they would have a diabetic person who was on insulin, right? So basically how that works is insulin helps decrease the level of sugar in your bloodstream. And so if you eat like a sandwich, you've got to take this same relative amount of insulin to get that sandwich assimilated. So your body can sort of tuck that glucose away into the cells and you don't have it huge amounts of sugar floating around in the bloodstream. What they did with these individuals was they altered the clock. They had part of the group have the clock go faster. So they thought like, whoa, 4 hours already went by. Well, that was really quick. And then they had other people that the clock went slower. So it seemed like, it seemed like 4 hours, but wow, only 2 hours went by. Geez, it felt slow, right? But that perception of like excess time or less time shifted their physiology. So if they were due for their next insulin shot, say like 8 hours later, and you sped up the clock, that because their perception, oh, whoa, it's already 4 o'clock. I'm going to need my insulin. When they measured their sugar levels, in fact, they actually required the medication again. So it altered their metabolism. When they slowed down the clock, the physiology also responded, and it aligned with that new perception. So 4 hours would go by and whoa, they don't even need new medicine because they're on the perception that that block of time hasn't gone by yet, and their physiology was responding. So if that makes sense, if I explain that, okay, that's fascinating because it's a evidence, right, that our cells are listening to our perception. Okay, so how do we allow a shift in perception so we allow a quantum shift physically? And that's really what I wanted to get into today. And I think so many people are ready for this. When we learn about mind-body medicine and we learn about perception equals my reality, or I get what I think about, or my focus, where your attention goes is where your energy goes. Where your attention goes is where your energy flows. So you understand, like, okay, I get what I think about. But what if I'm attuned to the like, well, I believe what I see. I'll see it when I believe it, right? Okay, I know my body really is whole. I know I have ability to quantum shift. I know I have lots of power. It's all within me, blah, 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 blah. But hey, my body is sick. Hey, my partner hasn't shown up. Hey, there is no money in my account. What I want you to see is every time we argue for the limitation, we bring ourselves into that perception of reality. And what I want to demonstrate here is perception does not equal truth. Now, I'm not saying that you go and look at your bank and there's only $10 in there. No, you actually have $1 million in your bank account. You just don't see it. What I am saying is everything you're making it mean is not necessarily true. So, oh, there's $10 in my account. That means I'm poor. That means I don't have resources. That means life is not working out for me. That means I have failed. That means it's not going well for me. It's not going to go well for me. And I have to work hard and figure it out, right? All of that is what I'm talking about, perception. And that's 100% BS. All of it is just a belief system. None of it's actually true. What if you see what's in your account, whatever that number may be, and you say, hey, I wonder what's possible from here. Hey, what if there are possibilities that haven't occurred to me that I could let money come in from all kinds of sources? I've had this happen way too many times to think this is just airy fairy fluff. So now you're shifting your perception of, okay, there's what I see, but how about opening to something that I don't already understand anyway? So now instead of that old perception, I'm curious, what might happen? And the old perception of like, I'm screwed, I'm a failure. It's a clean slate for new possibilities to come in. What else is possible? Instead of the old self of like, you've got to figure it out. I got to go work hard. As I stay in my ease, the universe takes more care of me because I'm a better receiver, right? So I open to new reality. And some of that can be, we think it's about belief. I believe it's going to be okay anyway. But then you're like, no, I don't. I am scared to death. And this is what I wanted to talk about today. When you allow yourself to accept a higher truth, that I already am healed, that I already have access to wealth, that I already am taken care of by the universe, no matter what's showing up in my reality. Accept it, even when you don't believe it, even when you don't see it, and even when you don't feel like it. This is when you allow a quantum shift. And I want to share exactly how we do that, because I think for so many of us, it's kind of just like, yeah, right. Yeah, right, Kim. That's fluffy. You don't know my problem. You don't know my husband's a narcissist. You don't know I've always had to work hard for money. Like the program may be telling you and sound way more convincing and real than the fluffy words you hear from someone like me. And that's where you come in. Will you continue to validate, verify, focus on, and expand the old story, the old program, the old quote reality? Or will you just begin to let in, even if you're like, I don't know, my bullshit detector's on and I think this girl's way too fluffy and blah, 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 I'm way too smart for that, to start to question that thought system anyway. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do today. And we'll do a little process to allow that to come in. Heidi said, fascinating. What's the name of the book? It's called Counterclockwise by Ellen Langer. She was a pretty famous research in mind-body medicine. What's happening when you're going through so many layers of the densities, you can feel them releasing, but so many things are going wrong in my life. Well, and that's what it has to happen for me. I've had to look at what I'm calling wrong. What's right about this I'm not getting, because a lot of things coming up with what's happening or how I feel can be really, really hard. And one thing I found, especially yesterday, I had a lot of stuff coming up for me. And then I worked with this one individual with a lot of densities coming up for her. And we did exactly this process that I'm going to guide you through now. We don't actually have to believe it. We just have to remember to trust what we know. So The first step of this is I'm going to share with you this deeper truth, which is, even though I don't see it, feel it, or believe it, and just breathe in your body as you hear my words. Even though I don't see it, feel it, or believe it, I wonder what else is possible. So take a deep breath, tighten up your shoulders, and then let them go, and exhale so your body can soften a little bit. Even though I don't believe it, think it, or feel it, I wonder what else might be possible. Breathe in, breathe out. And you can tap on your heart, which activates your biofield to let in new information. You can do it one more time. Even though I am so sure the old reality is the truth, even though I don't want it to be, it's what's true. I'm stuck. It's a problem. So just acknowledging. I wonder what else might be possible that never occurred to me before. Let everything go. Relax. So that first step is enough of a shift to shift your biofield from sort of feeding the old programming to opening to let in a new possibility. Now, don't look for the new possibility. Don't try to grab onto it like, yeah, everything's okay. I'm wealthy and healthy. Like affirmations sometimes that are at too high a frequency for you to access, so they don't go in. Doesn't matter how much you keep saying it. If it's not going in, it's not going to affect your biofield. It's not going to affect your manifestation. You've got to allow what you can let in. So it's a lot easier to let in, maybe there's something possible I haven't considered here, than it may be to let in, yeah, I'm already whole and healed and everything's awesome. Because you go to something too high, and what happens? All the densities you're holding that are in opposition to that come up more loudly, which is not actually a bad thing, but it'll be like, yeah, right. I know that's crap. You can't maintain the new frequency. So what if you just go somewhere in between, right? What if there is a possibility that's never occurred to me? Now, just for a few breaths, let that in. So this is kind of the second step. Soften your shoulders. Good. Now, I want you to go into the awareness of heavy light. Heavy is, yeah, maybe that worked for someone else, but that's not going to work for me. Heavy is, yeah, maybe there's a higher possibility, but my doctor told me there's a tumor and it's definitely not going anywhere unless, I go have surgery, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying don't have surgery. I'm just saying sometimes we're making it more real than it needs to be. So go into the old density of like, yeah, no, this won't apply for me. This won't work for me. Nothing works for me. Or go into the density of the problem, the way you've been looking at it, the way you've been asking questions about it, right? How do I fix blah, 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 blah. Just go into the frequency of it. Feel your body. Is there tension? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, most gratitude, joy, lightness, where are you vibing when you are thinking about the problem? When you are thinking of like, yeah, that won't work for me. I can't have it. I can't have a quantum shift. I don't know how to access that. That doesn't make any sense. And you could share your number. Metamorphic mind. I love you too. What if more money truly can show up out of thin air? And it won't necessarily come out of thin air, but it will come in some way like that you're like, oh my God, I didn't even think of that. And it will be some way that's maybe a very linear way, like someone gave it to you, or an outstanding debt gets paid and someone's like, oh, I owed you this money, here you go. Like it might come in a 3D linear way, but are you willing to welcome it? However it does come. Good. 2, 5, 2, 1088. 1 out of 10. 10 being total gratitude. Good. 3, 8.5, 5. All right. So breathe in, and I just want you to get a sense of light, heavy. So go into the density of like, yeah, no, that won't work for me. Or 1, whatever the density says. Oh, wait, sorry, 2.5, not 8.5. Good. Okay. So re-explain the scale. So 10 is like, oh, I feel so empowered. I feel so joyful. And 1 is the low end. So you want to feel when you think of the problem, of like, oh, no, I don't have money in my account and I have no idea what she's talking about. Or you think of the problem, oh my God, but she doesn't understand because you don't understand. My husband is a narcissist. So I have this real thing. I have this real problem. We got to fix the problem. Or you think, oh, I have this disease, but my pain, all right, I've already tried this. I think a lot of that's going on too. I've already tried this. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. I must be doing it wrong. All you're going to do is feel the frequency of that. Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the highest, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. Where are you vibing with that idea and that perception? Oh, I love, Patty said, I love how you know all of our negative feelings. It makes them so much easier to actually tap into how we are vibrating in that thought. Yeah, because thought is just frequency. And you could just tune into the frequency. I've tuned into the frequencies of those thoughts as well. Usually it's 1, but when listening to you, it doesn't go lower than 3. All right, that's awesome. A 3, a 1. Okay, now I want you to just let that go. We're just going to practice our knowing. Now, the knowing is the register that has you go, yep, I'm vibing at about a 2 right now. It's objective. It's just awareness. It's just noticing information. Okay, so now you're going to go to another level, and I'm going to say what else might be possible that I haven't considered. So you can put your hand and tap on your heart. What might it be like if I could let something new in? Breathing in, breathing out. What if there are possibilities I've never accessed before? What if I could allow even just a little softening that lets them all in? Okay, we're going to go a little deeper with this. What if I embrace the pain and disappointment of the past so that I could open even just a little bit to a new possibility? Okay, that got more people up there. Now you're going to feel. All you're going to feel is not, do I think this is true? You're just going to feel the frequency your biofield is in. Just information. Up to an 8, another 8. Holly, my frequency is really negative. So instead of going into that thought, just feel. Louisa, 8. Good. And you can keep tapping as we're doing this. What would it take for me to open? Would I allow that? Okay. And then last we can say, good. 8, 8, 8, 7, from a 1 to a 3, breathing in. What would it take for me to open to that? Would I be willing? Okay, last is, how awesome would it feel if I did let in a higher possibility? So now we're not even playing with, can I, do I know how, is it possible? How would it feel if I did let it in? All you're going to do is feel that. Good, Holly, that's okay. Breathe that in. Breathe that in. It would take courage. 8, feeling that the new belief is possible. 7, good. 9, 7. Okay, we're going to complete that exercise. All you're doing is playing with your knowing, your awareness. In pure awareness, Louisa said 10. Heidi said 13. And I will just call out, since Holly is voicing some lower frequencies, because there may be people there too, just tap on that and breathe in and breathe out. It's okay. This is what's resonating with me right now. 2.5 to a 9. I'm feeling the light heavy with you more than when I just play with this alone. Okay, good. Okay, so from your knowing, all you're going to say is, which one feels lighter? Now, I can explain to you the metaphysics, meaning the science that governs the physical reality, about why your biofield registers lightness when something is true, and why your biofield registers heaviness, dread, density when something is a lie. In fact, I do this in lots of my other videos and broadcasts and things like that. But we're just going to shortcut right now and say your biofield has the capacity to register your truth versus lie. What makes you alive, what grows you and feeds you versus what depletes you, exhausts you, and ultimately kills you. That's what you're designed to do. All right. Will you let that in? Will you let in that awareness and align with the truth that designed you? Or will you continue to play out in the programs of what your mind thinks or believes is true, right? Because your mind might be like, well, yeah, it feels lighter, but I know it can't really happen. Well, yeah, it feels lighter, but I'm just going to get disappointed again because this can't possibly work for me. The mind is filled with programming, just like to the brim. And that's okay because you're not the mind. So will you align with the knowing, the true self, the divine awareness observer, we could call it? Anyway, right? So even though it looks like my life is crap and it will never work out for me, and my mind has a million reasons why I'm ultimately screwed, I'm going to align with this higher truth awakening in me. And that's really a yes or no question. Doesn't muscle testing work on these true and false beliefs? Basically, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Kinesiology. Yep, that's me. My mind is screaming at me. I'm willing to align with the observer. Yes, you are such a brave, courageous soul. Holly is one of the people who was in the lower vibe. And so when we choose to align with our knowing, even if we don't believe it, this is when the quantum shift happens. Now, for everyone here who've had some kind of experience with this, as we've done this exercise, you can simply choose. I align with the truth in me. I align with the divinity. I align with my knowing. That might be an easier way to access it. My thinking is blah, blah, blah program. I'll never make it. My knowing is, what if I could? My knowing is, there is more here for me. Now, you might not believe that knowing, but like I just showed you in this energy exercise, in this perception exercise, observer exercise, it's there anyway. Okay, so when you choose to align with your knowing, right, and just tap on your heart and let it in, even when you don't believe it, feel it, or think it, that's when you allow a quantum shift. The question becomes, am I willing to align with my knowing? And I'll tell you two things. You're always going to have a million reasons why you can't, why I'll do it once XYZ happens. It's conditional. And none of those things actually need to be met for you to choose yes. Meaning, I could feel like absolute crap and choose to align with my knowing anyway. I could have something happen that I think is like, oh, this is the worst thing, and choose to remember, I know that life is on my side. Even though I can't see how that could be possible, I'm willing to know that. I'm willing to remember that life is on my side. And in that choice of yes, that's when I start letting in the understanding and then the seeing and then maybe the believing that it's true. But those things are always, always secondary. If you make those things primary, meaning I'll believe it when I see it, I'll let it in when I feel and like it's really true, you're never, ever, ever going to use your true manifestation power. You're never, ever going to create something higher than what you already have. How do you align with your knowing? I didn't hear that part. So we'll just do a simple way, okay? The most simple way is I choose to know the truth, even though I think, fill in the blank. Even though I think there's no way, even though I think I don't know how and I need to, even though I think this applies to everyone but me, I choose to know the truth that is already here for me. I love you guys. I'll join Holly. Let's align. Kim, I just want to say thank you. I always feel lighter with you. Okay, so this is great. I'm so glad you said that, Barbara. This is another way that I choose my knowing, even though the program is like, no, this is definitely crap. It's bad. Is thank you. Thank you. Now, I may not feel appreciative. I might be like, oh, shit, but I'll just go to thank you. I remember a lot of years I struggled in my relationship with my husband because and it was like so hard to, get into these deeper levels of really connecting. And I honestly didn't know what to do. And I tried everything, like everything. I mean, you know who I am if you've met me before. I'm kind of proactive in my life, like, let's dig in. And I just got to a point where I was like, this is not possible. So I started instead to say, thank you, thank you, thank you, that this already is created. Thank you. I didn't even have to work hard at it. Thank you that this showed up in my life in the most unthinkable ways. Thank you that I allowed this in. So that implies an opening, that implies an allowing, and that implies like I'm not holding the space of the thing. Oh, I got to work on this. I got to work on this. And holding down in tightness. Oh, I do want to share because all these tools are in the MindBody toolkit, and we just did a new cover. We updated the book. It's beautiful. My manager Laura made the suggestion because they said, "Well, you can't really see you in that cover." And it wasn't really aligned with the branding and sort of the personality of who I really am. And so she said, let's put a picture of you. And I'm like, no way. I'm not putting a picture of me on the book. This isn't a book about me. I don't want to make it about me. And then she showed me this, which I thought was so beautiful. And I said, yes, absolutely. I want that to be the cover of the book. I will embody that. I will share that. So if you already own a copy of the MindBody Toolkit, this is our update, and you may want to purchase it for someone that you love. I think it's an absolutely amazing, amazing heartfelt gift. It has the capacity to change people's lives profoundly. And it's a really, really easy read. Like there's a tool in each section, just a basic tool. Change your thoughts. Oh, how the heck do I do that? And it guides you through it. There's an audio at the end of each section of integrating these tools. I think anybody could read this book. Like my mom has read this book, who may not necessarily be someone who's necessarily very spiritual or very open-minded, because we're really explaining the science in there. So it's at drkimd.com/book that you can go to purchase. The hard copy is on Amazon, and that's the MindBody Toolkit. So I'm really, really excited. The content is the same. We have just updated the cover. If you already own one, you might want to buy one to gift to someone. If you don't own one yet, I would highly recommend purchasing your copy because it's a really powerful book. I even had my best friend, who actually started out as a client many years back. And she said, Kim, I picked up your book recently. It was on my shelf and started reading it. And oh my gosh, I forgot what an absolutely amazing, powerful book this is. More people should have your book. And she's like practiced this work for many, many, many years. She is a very conscious healing practitioner. So it meant a lot for her to say like, wow, this book is so powerful. It's awesome. And it sort of, gave me a lot of encouragement too, to be sharing it, more than maybe I have. So there we have the book. The other thing I want to announce is the Be the Medicine program is open. This is for individuals who are either in a coaching practice, a healing practice, or maybe a doctor or practitioner who wants to transition more into the healing arts and into a more fluid structure rather than the structure that's in the existing medical system, which is very linear and limited. Or someone who maybe isn't in any kind of practice like that, but feels inspired to share their healing gifts or develop their healing gifts in some way. The Be the Medicine program is where I work with you live in a small group, and we do exactly that. And it's a 4-month program where we'll work closely together, and it's one of the most powerful programs I've created. The link is at drkimd.com/BTM, and that is open for enrollment right now. Let's continue with any questions about quantum manifestation. The biggest thing I want to share about quantum healing is when I remember I am already free, that's when the quantum shift can happen. When I remember I am already free, even though I don't see it, feel it, or maybe see any evidence of it, or even believe that it's true, I know somewhere. And then when I accept that, so acceptance is kind of, this is what I want to share, is the main focal point here. So we've got your body, okay, your biofield, which you don't necessarily see unless you develop that perceptual ability. Very easy to perceive because energy sensitive people, you feel other people's energy. You feel like contracted or depending on that, biofield. So you're perceiving it play with letting that awareness in, you will begin to perceive energy more and more fully. Now, what you focus on, let's put your third eye in there. Hey, you got your third eye. What you focus on in your heart and in your awareness is going to be what creates what's happening in your biofield, okay? What creates what's happening in your body and your electromagnetics. Now, the strongest point electromagnetically, electrically and magnetically, is the heart biofield. We've studied this for many, many, many years. Heart Math Institute has lots of research on this, that the biofield of the heart is the most potent, is determining what's happening in your brain, what's happening in your all your other organs, all your other parts of your body. What's happening in your body is most powerfully determined by the biofield of the heart. So you can tune into this to sense, how am I emotionally? We did an exercise like this earlier today in this session, right? Light, heavy, how am I feeling? In the instant elevation, we just do a little check-in. Hey, body, how are you doing? And on a scale of 1 to 10, I can get a sense. 10 is, I feel so grateful and joyful. I feel amazing. 1 is, I want to get off the planet right now. I feel miserable. Okay, thank you. Thank you for showing me. This is just information. Let it in. The biofield of the heart is what's most going to determine what's happening in the greater biofield of your whole body. So if all you do is go to thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not saying think it and believe it, right? I don't have anything to be thankful for. XYZ just happened to me. Clearly, that's a bad thing. You're going to do it anyway. That's what I mean with accept. Okay? Accept the knowing. Accept the truth, the higher truth. Okay? So we just go to like, shit's hitting the fan. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know how or why. Thank you. Now, when you do thank you, you could gently tap on your heart. You could feel a feeling of gratitude. Maybe you call on an idea, an image, or a person. What happens now, you've opened your biofield. You will let in a new perception. You will let in new information. You will let in new intelligence that previously was blocked out. Like, oh, you know what? I didn't want to do that thing anyway. I had something happen last week where it made me feel so, so sad. A bunch of people that I really care about got together and I wasn't invited. And someone who is really close to me saw them all out at dinner, like toasting and cheersing and celebrating. And she felt the same way. And it was like kind of a, like it just felt sad. And the thing, she shared this with me, like, you know what? I wasn't going to be able to go anyway. So it was okay. I wouldn't have been there anyway. And I'm, all the way out in Colorado now. So even though they didn't know it, I wouldn't have been able to go anyway either. So ultimately, it was a matter of, let people be where they're being. Love them where they are. It's okay. So I was able to find, thank you for whatever this pain is bringing up in me, for whatever the true perspective is that maybe I don't see right now. Thank you, because I already know, and so have accepted that life is on my side, that life is always delivering me a gift, that life is always providing for my highest. So once I accept that, I can remember, thank you, this thing that's falling apart and seems to be a bad thing is actually serving me. I did this many years back when a relationship ended and I was completely devastated, but I went into, how could this be a gift? How could this be the best thing that ever happened to me? And I let in infinitely higher possibilities in the marriage that I have now, that there's no possibility I ever would have had the life I have now, the joy I have now, the freedom of personal expression that I have now, of who I'm loved and cherished as I am. And in that relationship, I didn't see it at the time. I was sort of put in a box and it was like, could you just stay in here, please, and be this? There wasn't space for me. So even though it was literally the most excruciating heartbreak I could ever imagine going through for anybody, I found thank you. And it created a majesty of my life. So you don't just have to accept it blindly. You'll get little bits of proof and little bits of proof and maybe big bits of proof. And then you find like, you know what? I know life is on my side. I know life is happening for my benefit. So I'll go to thank you, which, like I said, opens up your field to allow new perception to come in and new gifts and new manifestation and new people. Even though I had no idea how that could have possibly happened. I had also one time that, this, and it was around the same dissolution of that relationship. There was like no money in the account. And I knew like, all right, how can this be for my highest and best? I know I'm taken care of. It's okay. I stayed open, which I'm just going to show you like a contracted biofield, which is like layers of protection. It's a shield versus like a permeable biofield. And I'll just sort of draw. Okay. It lets in information and intelligence. And like 2 days later, I got a check for $13,000 from the IRS for back taxes that were paid while I was in residency and like overpaid. And there was some, I don't even know who was fighting this lawsuit against the group of residents for the group of residents, that some law had been changed and we weren't actually required to pay those taxes. I don't really understand. I didn't even know it had been in the works, but all of a sudden that very week, a huge sum of money showed up in my bank account. Our check, it was a check I got delivered. So it was like, okay, now did it happen in some linear way that you could understand? So I'm not saying it fell out of thin air and here was this check. I'm not saying that's not possible. I'm just saying usually it won't be through that route. It'll be through some linear third dimensional route that you're not unfamiliar with, but you're letting something in that you were previously blocking. And this has happened so many times in my life. Find even tiny little examples and it will increase your willingness to accept it unconditionally. Okay, that is the key to allowing quantum shift. You must accept the truth, the knowing, even though I don't believe it, even though I don't see it, even though I really, really feel like it's not true. And now you allow the transmutation of your physical, mental, emotional self, physical and mental, emotional reality to the higher reality of what your heart truly desires. I am so proud of myself because I feel like I said it exactly like I really wanted to say it. I feel like I expressed what I really had to express here today. And I'm really grateful. You guys are receptive enough that you could hear this in some way, big or small. And I appreciate this. I'm so glad we created this interaction today and this exchange. I am at drkimd.com if you would like to subscribe on the website. We're always sending out information about events we have, programs we're offering. We have a great newsletter that we send out each week. The videos here will be here live every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Mountain Time from MindBody TV. So you can join us live on YouTube at Dr. Kim Duramo or in Facebook at the MindBody Community. I also sometimes come into Instagram to do this broadcast. So thank you for being here. And be sure to subscribe, hit the like in YouTube and hit the thumbs up. This makes a huge difference in helping people find our channel and find our content who are desperately looking for this kind of information and this kind of, just coming back home to the intelligence in you. So if you are willing to surrender to, allow, accept that there is divine intelligence in you and that it can create a quantum shift in your benefit and for your health, wealth, and great prosperity. Remember this, remember, I can accept that which I don't understand. I can accept even though I don't believe it. I can accept even though I don't feel like it or see evidence of it, because your conscious choice is that powerful. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. I'll see you soon. And the Be the Medicine program for those who would like to work with me live. It's a 4-month program where we'll be working together. As like I said, who either are established or establishing a healing practice, a coaching practice, something where you are assisting others, healing, acceleration, awakening in any way, or you feel inspired to do so and develop your healing gifts and share them with others, this is one of the most powerful programs I've created, and I always love sharing it every year. Registration is now open. It's at drkimd.com. The medicine, BTM, drkimd.com/BTM. We will be having a workshop coming up on the 20th. No, in September on the 20th. And we'll be announcing that soon as well, a live free workshop. So stay tuned for that. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye.